Hi everyone, Lakeview here, Gino, Sam, Jack. We're gonna talk about unexpected costs. What an older home might actually cost you, what some of the cost might be, in which range.
First,
Starting with,
first thing is disposable systems. Not really disposable like one-time use, but things that wear out over time. Your roof, AC, boiler, and furnace, right?
furnace, right? Your HVAC system. So,
Yes.
so those can scare people off. You might be buying a 50 or 100-year-old home. If you're buying in Toronto or Hamilton, homes are century homes. In areas like Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington, a lot of homes are 50 or more years old. And if the lifespan of both furnace and AC is coming to an end, then that's a concern. But if, let's say, AC has several years left, but the furnace needs to be attended, you spread those costs around. So we wanted to touch base on some of those. For example, between 5 to 15,000 for a roof, depending on the size and how it's pitched. 3 to 8,000 for a new furnace. Now, furnaces can definitely go way over that, depending what capacity furnace you need and also what level quality you're going. There are brands who are simply cheaper than others, and so on. 5 to 15,000 to replace a boiler in old homes. Still, boilers are common. Might even have an oil tank. 2,500 to 6,000 for a new air conditioning unit, and large, good quality air conditioning units can go even beyond that. And some homes might require 2 ACs, 2 furnaces. So obviously that escalates the cost as well.
Yep.
Next one.
Next one is foundation cracks and sloping floors. A lot of older homes do have more wear and tear. The house is probably settled as much as it's gonna, so you're gonna see sloped floors sometimes, cracks in foundations, and they may or may not be a problem. You have to obviously get an inspection to see the scope of the problem, right? So,
Yeah, cracked foundation, might lead to or indicate some water leakage in the basement. But if you look above grade at the rest of the structure and windows and doors are not perfectly square, that would indicate that the structure has shifted, and that's more of a structural issue and would ultimately cost a lot more money
Yeah.
to remedy.
not necessarily a problem, not every movement means there's a catastrophic problem.
Mhm.
You just have to get it checked out to make sure.
So many homes have cracks. It's really not unusual. Almost any home over a period of time will shift at least a little bit. Now, finding what degree of seriousness that has will go into how expensive the repair can be.
And typically, will a home inspection find those sorts of things or not?
Depends. Some cracks you can see from outside. If it's a finished basement, obviously you have no visual access. Home inspector can only inspect what is visible. If it's a really old home, let's say a century home, they will simply look for slopes throughout the home, and they will measure performance of the home. So if doors and windows are not fully level, well, that home will not have as good of a performance. If a home has been around for 100 years or so and windows and floors are leveled, well, that means that the soil has not been shifting, and that's a very, very good indication. Now, regarding costs, it can be as low as several $100s, $500-600 to inject cement or hydraulic compound. Hydraulically injected into the crack to fix a crack, or it can go into $10,000 or more, depending what the issue is, how serious issue structurally we're talking about.
Right.
Okay, next one.
Next
Plumbing.
one, plumbing and electrical, that could be a real problem in some older homes. Knob and tube. Usually what happens is it's replaced to where it's really easy in the basement. It makes it look like there's copper throughout the house, but as you get higher, especially in the second, third floors, knob and tube in the walls, it's expensive to fix it up there, and that can range from anywhere between 10 to 15 to get up there
Yeah,
or more.
and part of
Depends on
that
the size
cost-
of the house.
Yeah, and part of that cost is not only replacing the electrical, it's then the mending of the different access areas that you've cut into walls and ceilings and that sort of thing. So it becomes an aesthetic sort of
Yeah.
Especially plaster, right?
yeah,
Well,
plasters.
one side note, if you do have an older home and you're doing a renovation, replace all the electrical if you have knob and tube. Don't cheap out and try to go with it and
Yeah.
keep it right. It's not worth it.
Yeah, replace it. If you have to open up plaster walls, it's not as effective as opening up drywall, right? It's just the cost of repair, patching it up and painting it, well, not painting, but patching it up is more costly than drywall. And that is very wide range of where it can cost from $5,000 to $35,000, depending on the scope of work.
Yeah.
And then with the galvanized steel piping, same thing, depends on scope of plumbing that needs to be replaced, how accessible it is. It can be from several $1,000s to, well, 10 or more $1,000.
Yep.
And then lastly,
Last one is windows.
Good old windows.
Little windows.
You know, even though your home or a home you're potentially buying might have older windows, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are no longer efficient or a viable component of the property. Having a look and keeping an eye on seals of windows and that sort of thing, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to replace all the windows in the house.
Some of them have some beautiful aesthetic character from the period when it was built. So you may want to save those windows
Yeah.
and recaulk them, clean them up, fix them up, make them look like they're new, right?
Absolutely.
and the cost can range somewhere, depending obviously on the size of the window, but it can be in the neighborhood of $500. This is a good measuring unit, $500 per window plus labor.
Yeah.
It all depends, obviously, on the size, quality. There are windows that are far more costly when you get into specific materials.
Absolutely. So rule of thumb here, maintain your property, keep regular maintenance on a lot of the components in your home, and by doing so you'll extend the life of them and keep your budget sort of intact.
Yeah, and if you're looking at an old house, these are the basic things that can go wrong in an old house, right? So let's keep your eyes open.
Hopefully this was helpful, somewhat useful and entertaining. Till next time, have a good one, guys. Cheers.